This is Joana Saahirah with another Juju live session about the feminine polarity in Egyptian dance. Recently, I did a Juju live session, a live Q&A about the masculine polarity. It was a very popular live session because I think it struck a chord with a lot of us, dancers and non-dancers. And today I'm bringing the complementary subject to the masculine polarity, which is obviously the feminine polarity. As an homage to the feminine polarity, I decided to bring my hair loose down as opposed to having it in a ponytail as usual. Let's see for how long I will handle it, because I cannot focus if I have my crazy hair all over the place. I will try. Welcome to share your questions if you have them. If you're watching me live, let me know what you would like to know about the feminine polarity. How do you define the feminine polarity? How do you use it or not in your dance and in your life? Feel welcome to let me know what you think about it, okay? And before I give you the answer to some of the most frequent questions around the feminine polarity and what it means and what it looks like in dance, in Egyptian dance and in life, I will do the proper presentation as usual. My name is Joana Saahirah, but that you already know, I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, author, and I'm also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. And very soon, also the author of the Oriental Cafe podcast. Yeah, okay. Now, without further ado, hello, Stunel. Hi, honey. Good morning. I'm not sure if it's good morning to you, but it is good morning to me. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for being here. And let's start with the first question, okay? And already I'm getting nervous because my hair will get out of control. I think I'll have to tie it up, but let's see. So the first question is not really a question, okay? It is, as usual, the definition of what we will be speaking about, okay? Because you know, I like to have things clear. Whenever I bring a subject to the public, I want to be sure that I know what I'm speaking about and that the ones who enjoy the content that I'm sharing also know what I'm speaking about. So what is the feminine polarity? Oi, Sandrinha! Bom dia! Bom dia! What is it? If you watch the Juju live session about the masculine polarity, you already know that feminine and masculine polarities have nothing to do with gender, okay? So this is very important to clarify, because whenever I bring these subjects to the table, a lot of critics come and say, no, you are dividing people and some men are this and some women are this and there are women who don't classify as women and men. Guys, breathe. Just breathe. Take a breather, okay? I'm not speaking about men and women. I'm not speaking about gender. I'm speaking about the duality of this third dimension, this planet Earth that we live in. We live in a dual reality, in a reality composed of polarities, of light and darkness, of action and stillness, of night and day, of consciousness and unconsciousness, of going in and going out, of music and silence. We know reality through contrast. I know how it feels to be cold by being hot, and I know how it feels to be hot by being cold. I know the value of life through death, and I know the value of death through life. We live in a dual world that the Taoism called the yin and the yang, the polarities that are present in nature. Nothing to do with being a man or being a woman or being transgender, nothing, zero, okay? Also, let me clarify that a lot of men have their feminine polarity activated more than women. I always give myself as an example because I'm the example of a woman who had to learn to activate and really integrate my feminine polarity because I'm naturally more inclined to the masculine polarity. What is the masculine polarity? It is action. It is the warrior that goes and does stuff, that very usually goes against stuff to make them happen. It's the voice. It's the putting it out there. It's the external world. It's the making it happen. It's the rationality, the logic, the sun, self-expression. All of this is connected to the masculine polarity. But then again, if you want to know more about it, check the replay of Juju live session on the masculine polarity, available at Joana Saahirah's YouTube channel. Go there and check it. It's a great session, fully packed. Today we're focusing only on the feminine polarity, right? So what does the feminine polarity stand for? Let's go there before I read the questions I selected for you. Again, let's remember this is a dance of complementarities. There is no superior polarity, no inferior polarity. We cannot say the night is superior to the day or light is superior to darkness because light can only exist in relation to darkness. So, just like the sun exists in relation to the moon. So there is no superiority or inferiority of a polarity, of a dynamic. They work together, and the more balanced we have them, the more balanced and strong we will be in our dance and in our life. Okay, so the feminine polarity is the night. The feminine polarity is the shadow. The feminine polarity is the moon. The feminine polarity is the stillness. It's the movement of going inside myself. It's the cocoon. It's the ability to retreat into my inner world and stay there and feel it and nourish it. The feminine polarity is about receptivity, my ability to receive, not necessarily to give, which is masculine polarity. The feminine polarity is about my ability to silence myself. It's not about passivity. That's something else. Silencing myself means I feel there is a period when I need to silence myself. I need to go inside myself and to be quiet, either to heal, to restore, to reset, to think, to replan, or to replenish, to nurture myself, to re-energize my body. Women in particular go through a very feminine polarity phase when they menstruate. Okay, this is a good example. And again, I'm not speaking only about women, but this is an example of what the feminine polarity will invite you to do. Usually, this happens to most women in a normal menstrual cycle. When you go into the menstrual phase, you feel an hormonal imbalance. Perhaps you feel a little bit less energy, physical energy. You feel bloated, maybe. That's the moon and the waters of the moon playing their tricks on you. Because a woman and her menstrual cycle is the woman and her lunar cycle, and the moon goes through different phases and the full moon exists. So when you are menstruating, you are on this full moon, you bloat, you expand just like the moon, okay? So that's something that it's reaching its peak, can die and renew itself, all right? So we're invited to be a little bit more quiet. Why? Because we have less energy, less physical energy. We're more intuitive. We're less patient towards bullshit. We're less patient towards the external world and the noise of the external world. So we're invited to stay in our cocoon, to rest, or at least to slow down, to take a breather, to listen to the silence, to meditate, to be more in touch with our essence inside ourselves and less in touch with the outside world. Now, this is an invitation that is just that. It's an invitation. And most women do not accept that invitation. I have not accepted for a long time. Even I remember for many years, I thought that independently of how I felt during my period, I had to go and get it. And I trained very hard at the gym and I was very out there until I realized that it was not a good idea for my health, to do that. So I started to respect that invitation. Now that invitation is a clear illustration of the feminine polarity. Okay? It is an example of an invitation from the feminine polarity, and it does not happen only when you're menstruating, and it does not happen only to women. It happens to men as well. The feminine polarity is about the ability to say yes to life. It is non-discriminatory. If the masculine discriminates, it says yes and no. I accept, I don't accept. I want, I don't want. It chooses. The feminine polarity is non-discriminatory. It doesn't discriminate. It says yes to everything. It's boundless. It is limitless. It is empathic. I feel empathy for the world around me. I say yes to everything. It's a big yes. It's my ability to surrender, to flow, to trust, and to break all my barriers, break all my boundaries. It's also my ability to trust life, the mystery, the unknown, and the things I cannot comprehend rationally. Then again, it is not superior or inferior to the masculine polarity. It is just different. It is just a dance of opposites that work together and feed off each other. Okay? That's it. Now that I have introduced a little bit of the theme, let me hold my hair because it's making me nervous because it's gonna start going like this. And then you cannot see my face because my hair is wild like me. So, what are the questions I have selected for you? Can men activate their feminine polarity? Okay. So, as I've already mentioned, the polarities have nothing to do with gender. So yes, absolutely, men as women can activate their feminine polarity. Men as women live in a world where the masculine polarity is the one that rules, right? We live in a world, Eastern and Western world, but more in the Western world, where we are told that we have to do all the time. We have to achieve, we have to run, we have to act, we have to put ourselves out there, we have to be extroverted. We don't live in a world, generally speaking, that invites us for self-reflection, for stillness, for emotion, because the feminine polarity is also the space for emotion, the space for feeling, and feeling and emotion slows us down. And we live in a fast world, very fast. We live in a world influenced by industrial revolution, right? What happened in the industrial revolution? We're talking about 18th century, 18th, 19th century. A process, a time of history that was particularly strong in the Western world. What happened? Suddenly we were working with machines and we had the concept of factories, non-stop production, as fast as possible. So the goal became to produce as much as possible in the shortest amount of time. And obviously that is possible with machines. But we are not machines, we are humans. So what happened is, from the Industrial Revolution on, we started to treat ourselves, humans, like machines or extension of machines, and we started to compete against machines. Let's see how fast I can run. Let's see how fast I can achieve. By 30, I will be a millionaire. By 20, I will be I don't know what. By 40, I have to have this and this and this and this off my checklist. So there is this race against time. And this obsession about doing, productivity, that comes very much from the Industrial Revolution. Egypt, for instance, was not through, it did not go through Industrial Revolution, and it shows, okay, in the best possible way and in the worst possible way. So in Egypt, for anyone who knows the country, there is no rush. There is no concept of rush. There is no concept of productivity, which is something good and it's something very annoying. As you know, I lived in Egypt for a long time and worked there, performed there for a long time, almost a decade of my life. And I remember how annoying was for me to see how slow everything was and how unstressed and unworried people were about productivity and doing things fast. That drove me nuts, you know, because I am a productive person and I value my time, you know. So think in terms of a society or a world where we are forced to deal with our masculine polarity much more than we are allowed to deal with our feminine polarity. There is not much space for emotion, for feeling, for stillness, for silence, for receptivity, for listening, for flowing, for trust. We live in a world that tells us we create our life, we do it, we make it happen, we, the ego. And the feminine polarity, it's all about the soul. It's all about that part of ourselves that says, you know what? You can do a lot of things happen with your masculine polarity of action and input, but life happens and you're not stronger than life. So you're either going to co-create with life or you're going to get crashed sooner or later. This is the wisdom of integrating the feminine and the masculine polarity. Now, it took me some time to do that, to understand that, because as I told you, I'm the perfect example of a very masculine woman, although from the outside perspective, in the outside world, people think, no, you're so feminine. How come? I know, no, don't kid yourselves. I'm very masculine. Very masculine. I work on my feminine polarity every day. And if it wasn't for Egyptian dance, I would be the perfect example of Athena, okay? Athena, the goddess Athena, the daughter of Zeus. The daughter of Zeus, who was born from the forehead of her father. This is a Greek myth, the Greek myth of Athena, a symbol of women who have embraced the masculine polarity and expressed it. The warriors, the doers, the fighters, the ones that go into battle and create strategies and plans. I'm Athena. I'm totally Athena. So if it wasn't for Egyptian dance, I would be an example of the imbalance that exists in most women and men nowadays, okay? We're either extremely masculine in the sense that the masculine polarity is super activated in us, or we're extremely feminine in the sense that only the feminine polarity exists in us. So the second question is, what happens when I have a predominance of feminine polarity, but not enough of masculine polarity, okay? And let me remind you that the first question is, can men activate their feminine polarity? And of course the answer is yes, okay? As I've already explained, this has nothing to do with being a man or a woman. All of us humans can and should, I believe, have both polarities as balanced as possible and working together as much as possible. Now, what happens when my feminine polarity is predominant and I'm not developing the masculine? So there is an imbalance. I tend to be too still. I have difficulty in action. This is a sign that my feminine polarity is not counteracted. It's not balanced by the masculine. I feel a lot. I have a lot of stillness in my life. I have a lot of emotion. I have a lot of space to be with myself, but I'm not able to be with the world at large. I'm not able to express myself. I'm not able to express what I'm feeling. I'm not able to make things happen. I expect those things to come to me because I'm so receptive and so in flow and so in a state of surrender that I don't have the input, the impulse to say, you know what, it's good to flow and it's good to surrender my life to life, but it's also important to do stuff when necessary and to impose my will and to strategize and to plan and to make stuff happen. It's important a little bit of both. Okay, the big art is in the combination of these two things, right? So I'm gonna give you an example. When I was thinking about launching Joana's signature course, the new course at my school, at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, I was very afraid because this was the biggest thing I had ever done in terms of my teaching career, right? This is my signature course. It has my name on it. So it's a big responsibility. And I knew that it would take me time to process it, to plan it, to structure it, because it is a course that brings Egyptian dance and personal development, everything I know about it, in my own method, my own personal method, from the ABC to mastery. So it's a lot of luggage, a lot of information accumulated for more than 20 years. I had to find a way of organizing all that information and making it easy to understand and doable for people outside my universe, people who are not me, because a lot of the things that I know about Egyptian dance are so natural to me, they're so obvious, that I still have a hard time understanding how am I gonna teach that. It seems so obvious to me. So there were two processes in the creation of this course. Two processes that are examples of the feminine and the masculine polarity. On one side, there was the strategy, right? What do I want to teach in this course? Where do we start? After that, where do I take them? What are the results I'm expecting from each phase of this course? There was a lot of planning and structuring and strategy inside the course so that I could bring real evolution, real results to the students inside the course. Otherwise, it would be just me dumping great information into a course that nobody could use. Okay, so that was my masculine polarity at work. I had to think. It was not enough to feel it and do it from my heart, because nobody would understand the thing. Only I would understand it. I had to think about it. I had to structure it. I had to think about the world outside my world and ask, how am I going to bring this immense ocean of information and potential change to my students? That was the masculine polarity at works. But at the same time, I had to first feel the timing. When am I going to launch this? And I am very intuitive. So for as much as I use my rational mind, I also feel a lot. I am intuitive. I read between the lines. I see stuff happening before everybody else sees them. I see what's coming intuitively. So I had to feel the right moment to launch the course. I had to feel in my heart what were the things that I felt were the most important to communicate inside this course. And not everything is important for people. It's maybe important for me, but not for people. So I had to feel. I had to use my intuition, my heart, my internal insights to see how am I going to present this and when. That was my feminine polarity at works. And these two have worked together to create the course. And this is just an example of how these two forces can and should bring themselves together to collaborate. Okay? Now, how do I know if my feminine polarity is active and healthy in me? I've already gave you an example of what it looks like to have your feminine polarity in predominance and not enough masculine polarity. You become passive. You become too accepting of everything. Just too much. You become almost invisible because there is no output. You don't put yourself out there. I have another example. A dear friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, we had conversations about this, and she used to tell me, Joana, you have to flow with life. You have to flow with life. You cannot make everything happen. You have to flow. And I would tell her, but what do you mean flow with life? Because flowing with life for me has a very specific meaning. Flowing with life, it doesn't mean that I'm going to cross my arms and wait for stuff to fall on my lap. From experience, I don't think that happens very often. You know, everything I've ever done in my life was conquered. I never received, you know, an opportunity or an offering, or just because someone knocked at my door and miraculously offered me that chance. I had to work for everything. I don't know about everybody, you know, there may be unicorns who just cross their arms and great stuff happens, you know. A great relationship knocks at their door, a great job opportunity knocks at their door, and they did nothing for it. I hope to be one of those unicorns, but so far I'm not. I haven't been one of those unicorns. So I can only share what I know. I can only share what I've lived, okay? And she was an example of a woman who had too much of a feminine polarity and no masculine polarity in her. So for years, she was telling me about launching a specific course that was supposed to be like the work of her lifetime. And I would tell her, you got to start working on it now. She said, no, 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 no. Life is going to bring it to me. The right venue, the right place, the right people, life is going to bring it to me. I'm not going to force it. I say, yeah, but you're going to keep waiting forever. No, Joana, no, 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 you have to flow with life. Well, we went back and forth in this conversation, and making the story short, years later, this was like 5-6 years ago, she still hasn't had the course out there. It's not there. It doesn't exist, only in her head. Okay, so this is an example of an imbalanced polarity. Someone who has a lot of receptivity, a lot of stillness, a lot of feeling and emotion and openness and a big yes to everything and everyone, but then the masculine is not there, so it's a disaster. The same way, if you have too much of a masculine polarity, you tend to be too competitive, you tend to be too action oriented, and you don't rest, you don't feel, you don't meditate, you don't reflect, you don't slow down, you don't have time for human experiences, you're always hustling. So again, I want you guys to think about these subjects of polarities in dance and in life as a dance that we want to be as balanced as possible. Two partners that we want to bring together as much as possible. Now, is that easy? No. Okay? It's the balance the Taoism speaks about between the yin and the yang. It's very hard. And I would even argue that it's possibly impossible to achieve the absolute balance. But we can try to get as close as possible to the balance, okay? Now, how do I know that my feminine polarity is well developed? I know it if there is masculine there as well. So I know it if I'm able to act upon things, but also able to rest. I know that I have a good, healthy, balanced feminine polarity if I'm able to run when necessary, and if I'm able to slow down when necessary. I know that I have this balance when I'm able to feel and create space and time for emotions, but I'm also able to think and to strategize and to plan and to set deadlines and to structure myself and my life. And also my dance, of course, because guys, remember when I speak about polarities, I'm speaking about Egyptian dance and life. Everything I'm telling you applies to life and applies to Egyptian dance, right? I know that I have this balance if I am able to receive and to give. It's not only about listening and receiving from life, receiving the music if you're dancing. No, it's also about expressing myself, giving of myself. It's the movement of putting out and putting in. It's the inhaling. This is feminine, and the exhaling. This is masculine. So the more balanced you have these two polarities, this sun and this moon, this action mode and this stillness mode, this internal world and the outside world, this darkness of being with yourself when necessary and the light of being with the world when necessary, and the ability to go from one state to the other as life requires, because sometimes it's life itself that will tell you this is a day or a period where you need to activate your masculine polarity more than the feminine, or the opposite. In some periods, we need to activate the feminine. I'm going to give you another example, a very clear example from my own life. A couple of years ago, I was traveling for work for many years. So I had worked in Egypt nonstop. And then once I decided to leave Egypt, I started traveling for work around the world non-stop. And when I tell you non-stop, it's non-stop. Okay, I had no home. I would drop my suitcase at my parents' house, redo the suitcase and run again. I had no route, no nothing. I was 1 week in Ukraine, the other week in Israel, the other week in Egypt, the other week in Spain, the other week in China. It was like that for a long time. I was very tired. And I even say I was about to get on into a state of burnout. Okay. I really felt that it was the last straw. So internally, there was a call to retreat, to get a home in nature. I found a beautiful place, very near from the place where we are right now, actually, in the center of Portugal, in the heart of Portugal, surrounded by mountain and river. There was no internet, there was no mobile network. It was very isolated. And although I was still working a lot abroad, I was still traveling a lot, I started to travel less. So I rejected some work trips that I felt would be too much draining. And all the time that I was not traveling, I was in my mountain hermit's house. And I felt this internal need to be in silence, to be in nature, to walk barefoot. I would walk very early in the morning to the river and bathe in the river. I would listen to the birds. I would just sit down and listen and meditate. And this saved my life. This was a period of 1 year and something, when the call to activate my feminine polarity was very obvious, and it actually saved my life. I'm sure that if I had continued with the rhythm and the lifestyle that I was having, I would get seriously ill. I was sure. I had been working nonstop for a long time in very aggressive environments, especially in Cairo, and then traveling nonstop, airports and meeting people and not sleeping and different time zones. I was really physically drained and mentally drained. And if I had not listened to life, if I had not listened to the appeal, to the invitation to cherish and develop my feminine polarity, I don't know where I would have been. Okay, so some periods of our life will really ask us for yalla, go out there and make it happen, or yalla, go inside and heal and rest and retreat and reflect and feel. And one is not better than the other. It's just that then again, we live in a society, in a world where we are told that being out there all the time, doing things and being external is the thing. But we are understanding that is not possible. And we are understanding that because there are health problems coming from this histrionic way of living that does not allow us for the space and the time for our feminine polarity to breathe. So the world itself is not going to give you that. You have to feel it's time to bring that dimension to your life. And sometimes it is a matter of life and death. For me, it was. Seriously, I'm not being dramatic. Okay, even in my last tour of USA and Canada, I felt when I was going to New York, I had like 2 months of non-stop traveling in USA and Canada. Canada would be the last stop, actually. I felt I was going to get sick. And I never get sick. So I was on the plane and I was like, something is gonna go down. And when I get to Delaware, a very weird infection hit me, and I went into the emergency room for days in a row, trying to avoid the cancellation of the entire tour. That was the how ill I was suddenly, of pure exhaustion. My immune system went down, it shut off. So it is important to know when to stop and when to slow down. And that voice that tells you you need to take care of yourself, you need to stay put for a little bit, that's the feminine polarity talking to you. And when it does talk to you, listen, okay? Now, do I need to develop my feminine polarity in order to do Egyptian dance? What do you think, guys? What do you think? Do you need to develop your feminine polarity in order to do Egyptian dance? What do you think? Let me know in the comments, either live with me or in the replay. Now, rest assured, of course you need to develop your feminine polarity in order to do Egyptian dance as much as you need to develop your masculine. So how does the feminine polarity look like in Egyptian dance, right? What do I mean in practical terms? So the feminine polarity is the dynamic, is the invitation that allows me to listen deeply to the music. This is the first thing. Why? Because the masculine wants to do stuff. And I'm sure you've seen or you've been one of those dancers who start a class and the first thing they want to know is, what do I do? Tell me, what do I do? They don't want to feel, they don't want to listen, they don't want to understand, they don't want anything. They just want to be told, what do I do? That's the majority of dancers nowadays, by the way. They're obsessed with action. That's masculine polarity taken to an extreme. So the feminine polarity is the invitation for you to listen. Listen and feel. I mentioned this many times. In my first published book, The Secrets of Egypt, Dance, Life and Beyond, I spoke about the gates of Egyptian dance. The 3 gates of Egyptian dance. The first gate is the ear, the second gate is the heart, the third gate is the action, is the physical movement, if there is physical movement involved. And the problem is most dancers are so trapped into the masculine polarity. The only thing they think about is, what do I do? It's the physical movement, but they don't go through the first and the second gates of Egyptian dance. Listening deeply, listening deeply. Dun, 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 dee, da, dee, da. Listening attentively as if you were a musician, okay? Your ears must be the ears of a musician, and also feeling. Allowing what you're listening to go through your heart and filter it and see how you're feeling it, okay? This is super important, and this is the feminine polarity at works, okay? Another thing that you can identify as an active feminine polarity in Egyptian dance is the ability to feel deep emotion, okay? The ability to feel deep emotion, to dance from the heart, not from the mind, not from the ego. To dance instinctively, emotionally, from the heart, not from the ego that tells you this is a cute step, this is a cute movement, oh, this is an impressive trick, let me do this belly trick they're gonna die for. That's the ego, that's masculine, that is not the feminine. The feminine doesn't want to impress. The feminine wants to express what's in our hearts. So when you have an active, healthy feminine polarity, you're able to feel more. Feel the music, feel the movement, feel the breath, feel the moment. Super, super, super important. Stunel is saying if you don't, you can't sit into juicy pauses and take a breath into the dance and music. Yes, Stunel, you're touching another side of the feminine polarity, which is stillness, right? It is stillness. It is trusting that energy is also a part of dance and also a part of life. Trusting that you are magnetic, that you are emanating through your energy, that you don't need to be doing stuff all the time. Okay? So the masculine, it's the thing that I do, that I put out there. It's me giving something to the world. The feminine is me being magnetic. I'm attracting through my energy. So I allow myself to be still, to slow down in the movement, and even do this big juicy pause and to feel it. And I know that is enough. And I know that's magnetic. This is the feminine polarity. Okay. And then again, most dancers nowadays don't have that developed at all. If they're not doing stuff, they feel they're not dancing. And what is even worse, if they're not doing stuff, they feel they're worthless. I'm going to repeat that. If they're not doing stuff, they feel they're worthless. That is true of our life. It is true of our dance. We have our sense of value and identity very much attached to doing. I do, therefore I am. If I don't do, I am not. Which means that if there is no action involved, if I'm not doing steps all the time, if I'm not moving forward all the time, I don't exist. I'm not valuable as a human being. I'm a waste. I'm a flawed person. I'm a loser. I was gonna say something. I'm a up. You understand what I mean. So it's very important for us also to find these traps that then again our societies will lay upon us, of making us believe that if we're not doing consistently, if we're not moving consistently in our dance and in our life, we're worthless, we're nobody, we're not doing it right. It is not true. Even from a point of view of dance, let's think in very, very technical terms, okay? And very often I train dancers for performances, guys, in competition also. In my private coaching mainly, I receive students that tell me, okay, help me prepare for a competition. My hair is wild, I told you. And of course they're afraid of losing the attention of the audience, especially in a competition. They want to impress the audience. They want to impress the judges. My hair. Okay, and one of the most beautiful and hard challenges I have with those dancers is showing them that a great performance, a great dance performance is full of contrast. In order to be a great Oriental dancer, you need to master contrast. What is contrast? Contrast between action and stillness. Speed and slowing down. I go very fast, woo, and then I slow down. Contrast between thinking and feeling. Contrast between going inside yourself and going outside yourself. Contrast between going up and going down. Contrast between using your lower body, which is feminine polarity, and your upper body, which is masculine polarity. Contrast between being very physical, very raw, very instinctive, very sensual, and very spiritual, soulful, getting into a state of thought. Contrast. Contrast. And you don't have contrast if you don't have the feminine and the active polarities well integrated and working with each other. So a great dancer is not the one who moves like an hysterical monkey, moving all the time meaninglessly, ba 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 ba, like a machine. A great Oriental dancer is, amongst many other things, someone who can create contrast. And in terms of performance and competition and paid shows, when you're performing professionally and being paid for it, you have to consider contrast. You cannot work all the time and run all the time. That is boring as hell. People will get tired of watching you if you look like a crazy monkey machine. Although you think that's the good thing to do, because then again, we're so afraid to slow down. You're so afraid to pause. The moment you pause, you feel you're doing nothing. And if you're doing nothing, you're worthless. So it is a trap, guys. And I do hope that you start to open your mind and be clever about it. Both in dance and in life, the desirable thing is not for you to move meaninglessly without stopping. That will make you crash. I know it from my own experience. The idea or the goal is also not to be still and in pause forever, because you will die of boredom and you will make the entire world die of boredom around you. The idea is to bring both dynamics together and feel internally when it's moment to act and when it's the moment to slow down and be still. When is the moment to give and when is the moment to receive? When is the moment to think, masculine, and when it's the moment to feel in your heart, feminine? When is the moment to speak up, masculine, and when it is the moment to shut down, stay in silence and listen, feminine? One works with the other, in dance as in life, okay? Stunel says, my polarity was very masculine in dance. I was afraid people would be bored if I didn't move. Yes, exactly. You're not alone. You are not alone, Stunel. That's very common. I would say that's the most common attitude, actually. And too much feminine polarity in my personal life. Okay. Your course helped me work towards balance. Yeah. Everything we do inside Joana Saahirah's online dance school has that one of those goals, you know. We work on the polarities aside from many other things in every course, especially in the signature course, Joana Saahirah signature course. Also dancing with Sanya Raks. Okay. I don't have to dance every beat. Yes. Being still is hard in dance. Yeah. So it is hard, and again, because we associate doing with worthiness, and also because we're not aware of the power of energy, right? So when I say that the feminine is magnetic, it's magnetic because it works with energy. So when I am still, in stillness, not sleeping, not passive, that's something else, okay? When I am still, because I feel this is a moment to be still, I'm allowing what has to come my way to come my way through the emanation of openness and energy, positive energy, we hope. So in dance, for instance, when I pause, it's not like I'm creating an empty space. It's not empty. Unless I believe it's empty. I don't know if this is too weird. Yeah, it is empty if I believe it's empty. What do I mean by this? If I think that the only thing I'm dealing with in my dance and in my life is my physical body, when I stop moving my physical body, I feel I am not doing something. I'm not dancing, I'm not living if I'm not moving physically. And this is not true. Energy exists. And energy is a part of the dance as much as the physical body is a part of the dance. This is what I call the invisible dance. For the ones who have read my book, The Secrets of Egypt, Dance, Life and Beyond, you know what I'm speaking about. I have spoken, written about this. Nowadays it's becoming popular. When I wrote and published the book, people called me crazy when I was speaking about the invisible dance, and now it's popular. As I knew it would be, you know. So the invisible dance, it's the work I do with my own energy, okay? So I must do a movement, okay? I can do a movement, but then I can stop and allow my energy to speak for me. But if I don't believe that I am energy and that my dance is also energetic, I feel I'm only creating an empty space. So we run away from the empty space. We want to feel whole. The question is, be sure that you are not only your physical body and that your energy is as much a part of your dance as it is your physical body, okay? But I will not develop it so much because we would not leave here, okay? It's a long subject. Now, what else do we see when a dancer has a good feminine polarity integrated? We also see more flow. more surrender, more relaxation, more organic movement. It feels like everything she or he's doing is so natural, so ease. The movements come with this natural groove to them. And then again, this is something that you don't see these days. Egyptian dance has become very tense, like a struggle, like almost a combat dance. A lot of masculine distorted energy. Va, va, boom, 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 boom. Yeah! You know, it's almost hysterical. And this is the trend nowadays. And even the music, okay, even the music that is being produced nowadays for Raqs Sharqi is very much inspired by a distorted masculine polarity. I'll tell you another story. When I was touring the USA, in that tour I mentioned, the tour where I was very ill, USA and Canada, a composer, an Egyptian composer who lives in USA for a long time, he sent me a couple of CDs, his own compositions, and he asked me, Joana, would you consider teaching my music and, you know, promoting my music, choreographing to my music? I say, of course, send me the CDs and I will listen, and if I like it, why not? You know, I will help you and I will be using great music, of course, with pleasure. So he sent me the CDs. I don't know in which city I received them. I don't remember where I received them, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I sat down to listen to the music, and let me remind you, this is an Egyptian composer who lives in America for a long time, okay? But he's Egyptian. And he's aware of Egyptian music, okay? It's not like a foreigner who has no idea. No, I'm talking about a native, okay? When I sat down to listen to the CD, I only listened to the beginning of one because I almost had a heart attack. Literally, I almost had a heart attack. Everything was so fast, so aggressive, so much information, so much struggle, so much head, and no heart, no soul, no space for feeling, no space for breathing. And guys, I'm a very dynamic dancer. I'm a very dynamic dancer. I don't like to sleep when I'm dancing. Okay, I like to feel alive. I'm wild and active and dynamic. But even I felt that was too much. And my first thought was, this is not Egyptian music, and this is not Egyptian music for dance. I would look like a puppet, a machine doing this. So obviously I didn't have the courage to tell him that I hated it. I just told him, oh, I listened to it, thank you, but I have other music to work on next time. But I didn't tell him, I didn't have the courage to tell him that I really hated it, because it was clearly something that he believed in, okay? But I do remember to feel this, and I do remember to observe as I traveled the world how Egyptian dance was being practiced more and more and more. And I felt breathless in a very bad way. Not breathless like how beautiful, breathless like how stressed. A lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of struggle. So when you have a good feminine polarity integrated, you become more relaxed. You flow, your movements flow more. You surrender to the music and how it moves you from within. You're much able to receive the stimulation from the outside world and to create from within, from the digestion of that inspiration that you're receiving from that exterior world. You're much more able to accept things as they are, but then create something new from that point of acceptance, with less struggle, less competition, less effort, less aggressivity, more like water. You know, there is a quote by Bruce Lee: be like water, my friend. It's one of your biggest powers. Be like water. Water is a symbol of the feminine polarity. It's a symbol of emotion as well. So it's adaptability, resourcefulness, working with your environment, around your environment, and doing what you believe you should be doing, but with adaptability and resourcefulness, not necessarily through contrast and fight and struggle and going against. It's about adaptability. And if I'm feeling tired, I will dance with my tiredness. If I'm feeling sad, I will dance and I will work with that sadness. I accept what life is giving me and I create something of my own with it. This is the feminine polarity, okay? Another thing that you can tell about a dancer, if she has or if he has a good feminine polarity, well developed, is the ability to go inside themselves and to dance in their cocoon, and therefore create the contrast between the movement that is turned inside and the movement that is turned outside. So there is this dance of revealing and concealing. That is one of the features of authentic Egyptian dance. Nowadays, it's everything revealing. You know, there is not much space for, you know, the moment when you're just inside yourself and you're reconnecting with your core. You're getting back home. And then when you dance towards the outside world, you dance coming from within, in connection to your soul. So the movement that you express after you go in is a movement that is more authentic, more personal, more from the core, heart. It is not empty, it is not shallow. It is not made to please the crowd. It is coming with full honesty and your identity. It's the connection between my identity, who I really am, that I get in contact with when I go back in, and what I want to express and give to the world. So there is a strength of honesty and identity there. Okay? And these are just some of the signs that we can identify when a dancer has that polarity well balanced. Now, what else? How can I activate my feminine polarity in my dance? Okay, I'm going to give you just 3 tips, okay? Because this is a very wide subject. And if you want to develop this with me, then again, I would highly suggest that you check our signature course, Joana Saahirah signature course. We're going to be working on these polarities, not only in theory, but in integration. How can I bring these polarities for real into my dance and into my life? How can I become more feminine and more masculine where I need to become and when I need to become in my dance and in my life? So if you want to get that transformation on, I would suggest that you check Joana Saahirah signature course. I'm going to share the link either in the comments to this video or in the description box if you watch this replay at Joana Saahirah's YouTube channel, okay? Check it and consider joining it, because this is one of the many personal development works that we do inside that course. Now, just 3 tips to close this session. What can you do to bring more of this polarity to your dance? First of all, the simplest and perhaps the most important of all tips I could offer is focus on breath. Breathe. And I'm sure I'm going to be hearing from dancers say, oh, that's so obvious. It is obvious, but you don't do it, honey. So someone has to state the obvious that you're clearly not doing. Very often, things that I say, they seem obvious, but they're not so obvious because you're not doing them. So listen and have the humbleness to receive and to ask, am I doing this? Before you say it's obvious. Okay? So breathe. Before you start moving, breathe. While you're moving, breathe. When you make a pause between movements, breathe. Get into the habit of reconnecting with your breath. Inhale, exhale. I'm not going to go as far as telling you to start to meditate, although at our signature course I'm going to do that very soon. So my students will have to deal with it. But if you're not my student, it's just a suggestion. Start to meditate, even if 5 minutes per day. and make that meditation based on your breath. The awareness of the inhalation and the exhalation, the awareness of the entrance of the air in your body, which is feminine, and the exit of that air from your body, which is masculine. Being aware of your breath and doing it to recenter yourself. This is top, okay? If you cannot breathe, you cannot dance. If you don't know how to manage your breath, you don't know how to be an Oriental dancer. Sorry, I'm very extreme here. And this is something that also helps your health outside of your dance. This is not only for your dance. This is for yourself. Breathe. Get familiar with your breath. Second thing that you can do to bring more of the feminine polarity to your dance. Train yourself as a listener. Train yourself as a listener in your dance and in your life. Listen. Before you speak, listen. When you are in a dialogue with someone, instead of rushing and waiting patiently for the person to shut the hell up so that you can say whatever you want to say, relax and listen. What is this person really telling me? Don't feel in the hurry of speaking, which is masculine. Be comfortable with listening, receiving what that person is really saying. That's feminine. Listen. When you're dancing, before you move, I tell this to my students all the time. And actually in choreographies, I usually leave the first phrase or couple of phrases empty. I don't make them move to the first phrases intentionally because I want them to listen. Just listen. Not move. Not do anything about it. Just listen. Just listen. And get into the habit of listening comfortably, without stress. Yeah, I'm listening, but I want to move. Yeah, I'm listening, but I want to speak. No, relax. Just listen. Okay. Third and last tip for this session that will help you bring a little bit more feminine polarity, but a little bit more quality. I was searching for the word quality to your dance and to your life. That is dancing from your heart as opposed to dancing from your ego. What is dancing from your ego? When you want to impress, you're dancing because you want applause. You're dancing because you want others to tell you you're fabulous. You're dancing because you're trying to prove something. You're dancing because you want to make a statement. You want to be impressive. You want to show off. You want to be told you're a star, you're great, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. But if you move from that thirst, if you move with that default mode, if you move with that emptiness within you that you think others will feel, you're running towards a dead end. You will find out sooner or later that's not the answer. In dance and in life, it's not the answer. That void that you have within, all of us have, only you can feel it. Nobody can approve of you. Only you can approve of you. It doesn't matter how many people tell you you're amazing. If you don't believe you're amazing, you are never gonna believe it. You will keep asking for approval forever. And you're gonna run a marathon without end. And you're gonna end up drained. And as empty as you started it. Okay, so connecting with other people is important. Yes, I'm here connecting with you. There are a few beautiful people watching live. There will be many more, hundreds, thousands watching the replay. It's beautiful. But I'm not here to receive your approval. I'm not here to receive your like or even your presence. Even if there was nobody watching this, I would still do it for me. Because it's something I want to do. It's something that I feel it's important that somebody does. So I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. Independently of what you think of it. Independently of how many likes, how many comments, how many... It is great to have interaction from people, of course, and I love when people show up and they share their questions and they speak up and they send me emails saying, oh my God, that make a difference, Joana, thank you. I love that, but I don't live for that, and I don't create because of that. I create because I want to do it, because I genuinely want to offer this content to the world. I want it out there. And I'm not going to wait for someone else to do it. If I have the content to deliver, I'm going to deliver it. So it's very important to dance from your heart, not from your ego, not from your emptiness, not from your thirst of approval. Okay? Approve of yourself and let others enjoy and connect with you if they wish, if they want, when they want. It's not their job to love you. It's not their job to, no. It's nobody's job. Everybody has their own life, you know. It's not anyone's job to pamper you. It's your job to pamper you. Okay? So let's get a grip, guys. Let's get a grip and dance from our soul. So when I dance from my soul, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm dancing from my soul, from my heart, from my core, from my essence, because it's something I feel like doing. It's something that I love doing. And if there is someone there to receive it and love it, wonderful. But if there isn't, I'm going to keep doing it anyway. It's not a request of approval. It's not a request for something. It's something that I need to do for myself, that I want to do for myself. Okay? And when you dance from your soul, you get into the state of tarab. The other day I received an email, and even today I received an email of a student at our school telling me about teaching tarab songs. It was very funny. Just this morning I answered this email, and a couple of days ago a similar email about tarab songs. I said there is no such thing as tarab songs. Tarab is a state of mindlessness. Tarab is transcendence. Tarab is ecstasy. It's when I transcend my ego, transcend my physical reality, and I access my soul. Through music, through meditation, through lovemaking, there are so many ways to get into a state of tarab. Mindlessness, egolessness. To go back home to our soul, our essence, what we are, who we are. And that's the place where Egyptian dance, authentic Egyptian dance comes from. And that's the invitation of the feminine polarity. It's not like the mind and the ego are not useful. They are for certain things, okay? But if you want to create magic in your dance and in your life, you have to give the feminine a chance. And that is going to go necessarily through the process of dancing from the heart, dancing from the soul, dancing without expectations. Just truthfully expressing your core, your soul, the things that you don't even understand, the things that are beyond understanding. That's the feminine polarity. Guys, it has been a pleasure as usual. I love making these sessions for you. Stuno, thank you so much for being such a faithful presence. It's so lovely to have you here. I know how beautiful you are, and I know the kind of intention and energy you bring to these sessions. I can feel it. Actually, this is feminine polarity, by the way. It's intuition, okay? So thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who watches the replay, which is the majority of people. Then again, you'll be able to watch this at Joana Saahirah's YouTube channel. And you'll be able to watch it also in my feed at Joana Saahirah's Facebook profile. And then again, I'm gonna invite you to join our newsletter. I always do that because it is a treat to be part of our community. And when you do, when you join our newsletter, you get access to exclusive discounts in our courses, exclusive invitations, gifts, content that I only share with my internal community, with my inside community. You're gonna find the link to do that either in the comments to this video or in the description box of this video if you're watching it on YouTube. And of course, check Joana Saahirah's signature course. Also, the link is going to be in the description box or in the comments If you want to develop your feminine polarity, your masculine polarity in your dance and in your life, if you really want to make this a reality with me, and I hope you do, check the link, follow the link, get information, and join us, because we are rolling. This course is already happening at Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School. It is pioneering, it is new, it is out of the box, and it's really going to show you a very different way of doing Egyptian dance and doing life. Invitations delivered. I will see you soon. Until then, you're going to receive what you already know. All my love and my warmest kiss. Okay? Mwah! Thank you for your presence, guys, and for your questions. Love you. See you soon.